Hello and welcome to this video on built-in AI features in Excel. I have a data set here on monthly expenses, marketing expenses to be specific. And I want to start with a forecast of this data. Okay, so ideally, in order to run the forecast, the dates or the months here must be sequential. There must be a pattern to them. And so you can see here that the date, I have January, February, March, but you'll see what happens when I try to run this forecast in a moment. So I'm going to click forecast here, and you can see a forecast cannot be created because the timeline isn't evenly spaced, and the dates or numbers in the timeline in a valid timeline must have a consistent gap. So there's some requirements if you want to run a forecast that you must meet. So rather than use this data directly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Data tab and get data from an Excel workbook. And the data that I prepared for this is called expanded expense data. And it's actually the same data set, but when I use the Power Query editor to pull in the data, you can see that the month column is put this in a date format. Okay, so I could go to transform data to transform this, but I'm just going to load it so that you see what it looks like. And once I load it, it's in a more normalized form, and it's complete dates that have a pattern to it. So I'm going to now try to forecast this. So I'm going to go back here, actually to the data tab. And while I'm here, I'm going to click on forecast sheet. And you can see it does a forecast for me. And so the data has to be in the right format. You might have to manually clean it up, or use Copilot to help you clean it up, or just convert this column to a date column that has a consistent format and pattern. Okay, so obviously here I have various options to specify when the forecast starts and when it ends, and a confidence interval and seasonality and other factors. But I'm just going to accept the defaults because I wanted to show you that you can use this to forecast data. And so it creates a new sheet with the forecast. So that's how you use that. And I'm going to go back here. So forecasting is one of the built-in AI features. The other feature that I want to look at is, let's see, I want to look at forecasting, and then I want to look at data types. Okay, so I'm going to copy some data that I created here using ChatGPT because I wanted to illustrate something. So I'm going to copy this data currency pairs here, and let's see. Okay, I think I created various currency pairs. So let me use this one here. It's just data that I want to use to illustrate this data type feature. So I'm going to come here and create a new sheet and paste it here. Okay, so make this wider. And you can see I have currency pair here. What I'm going to do now is I want to make this stock data. So if I click, I can make currency data rather. So I click currency, and it's going to convert this into currency data type. So you can see here that there's a symbol, an icon next to it now. If I click here, this thing here, insert data, allows me to choose various pieces of information about that currency pair, like the change or the 52-week high, or the low or the name, open price, things like that. So there's some things about the currency that might be of interest. So I might want the 52-week high for the US dollar, the euro exchange rate, and there it is. And I can repeat the same thing for this here, 52-week high, and maybe for the dollar yen currency pair, I want the change. Okay, and US dollar, Swiss franc, maybe I want the low. So you can get various pieces of information about the currency pair once you convert the name of the pair into a currency data type. Okay, so that's the first example. Another example is, so if you look at data type here, I have stocks, I have geography. So I'm just going to, rather than give me a list of stocks to use for the stocks data type. So I'm going to use ChatGPT to create a list. I did something earlier, but I just don't want to be thinking too much or making stuff up on the fly. So I'm just going to let it create a list that I can use. So it's come out of a list. I'm going to copy it here. And then I'm going to go to the sheet and paste it there. So just like I did for the currency, if I come here and I click stop, it converts this into a stop. And if I click on this, I can choose something about the stock that might be of interest. So maybe I want the closing price, previous close. Oh, actually, I'm in the I'm in the dollar currency pair. Actually, I wanted the stock, so I should have copied that those ticker symbols here. I think it's still running. Maybe that's part of why I couldn't copy it. So copy this and paste it here. And now I have some ticker symbols and company names. So I want to convert this into a stock. And now I'm going to get stock information instead of currency information. So you can see for this particular stock, Apple, maybe I want the headquarters, and or I might want the number of employees, or the market cap. So you can get various information, piece of information about any stock if you convert the ticker symbol into a stock data type. And maybe let me get one more. I want to know who the CEO is. Let's see if I can get that. Employees, headquarters. Okay, I don't have CEO, so maybe let me just get year incorporated. How about that? Okay, so you can see I can get a whole lot of information about any given stock. So I could convert all of these to stocks as well by clicking here. And once it's converted them into stock, I can now go to each of them and what do I want? Okay, so I started with the address. So I think I use headquarters rather. So you can see I can get headquarters for each of these. And then I can this one was, I forget what that one was, but you get the idea. So you can get different pieces of information about each stock in a list by converting it to a stock data type. The third data type, or the final data type I want to look at, is the geography. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, give me a list of geographies to use for the geography data type. So I'm just going to let it come up with it so that I can just copy and use that instead of typing all these geographies, it might take more time. So copy this once it's done. Just wait for it. So it can be countries, it can be major cities, it can be any kind of geography, really. Okay, and once you have gotten the geographies, you can get information about those geographies. So I'm just going to go over the countries, but it could very easily have been the major cities, regions, or continents. And so if I were to paste this here, okay, let me create another one that has regions or continents, just so you see that I could very easily have done either one. Okay, so sheet 6, I'm going to convert these to geographies by going here and click on geography. Okay, and once it's done converting them to geographies, I can get a different information about each geography. So maybe for each geography, I want the country code. I want um for the size. I want uh CPI. I want the calling code. Okay, so you can see I can get information about these geographies, and if I were to go here and convert these to geography data type as well, then I could, once it's a geography, let's see here. Isn't that interesting? Let's see. So obviously this one here, because the continent type, uh, it's asking me to choose from a more specific data type. Okay, so obviously, for each geography, I mean, we saw how it behaved when this was um, a country name. When it's a continent name, the sort of information that you get might be different. And so that's the gist of the data types. You can play around by trying different geography. So maybe let me do one final one here by going here and adding these and converting these to geographies as well, because it's going to recognize what kind of geographies these are. And so these are administrative areas, states, and provinces. So if I were to come here and click that, that one, it gives me, let's see what the country region of these are. And then I can go to largest city. Okay, so okay. So it might take some time to refresh, but actually you can always go to refresh all here if something changes and you need to refresh it, refresh or refresh. Okay, so that's how this works. And then I think there's one more thing I wanted to cover. And so we saw the forecast. We saw the geographies. And let me just make sure that I didn't leave anything out because so forecast, geography, there are other AI features, obviously. And I'll cover the Power BI, Power Automate integrations in a separate video. So in this particular video, I was more interested in the forecast sheet, the the data types, and actually, so there's the analyze data tool. Let me just look at that quickly. And I'll do the Power Query and Power BI in a separate video because that's a longer tutorial. And I want to keep this video a little more shorter. So While I'm here, if I were to go to the Home tab and click Analyze Data, I can get some preliminary analysis of the data that might be of interest. So it gives me some initial charts that I can insert and take a closer look at. So it kind of looks at the data to see what seems like the most interesting or the most reasonable analysis to look at. And you can ask it further questions like, if I were to come here, so I have insights, you can discover insights about the data. I can insert a pivot table as well, and obviously insert a pivot chart of that, or I can look at the trends of the salaries operations by month. So you can get various graphs of interest by using the analyze data feature, but I could also ask it specific questions about the data. So I want to see which month had the highest total expense, and I can ask it questions and it gives me that answer. So analyze data allows you to also interact with your data and ask questions and get answers to the questions, or graphs or other results of interest. Okay, so I will continue this AI features exploration in the next video with a covering of Power Query and Power BI integration basics. Okay, so like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell icon to receive notifications when I post the next video, and I'll see you in the next video.